Hey guys, Boris Schlossberg from BKT. Another good week of trading, another good week of market surprises and market lessons for us. The first trade of the week was kind of interesting because we went long Aussie dollar on Sunday night, basically on the assumption that the PPI number was going to be very hot. And here's the irony of how the market sometimes work. We were dead wrong on the data. The data actually was soft, but the trade worked. As you can see, we came in here, data came out, it was a little bit soft, came back down to our entry point, and then rallied for the rest of the night. We made T1, and ultimately, after about a day and a half worth of holding this trade, we made 70 points on a trade. And the reason why I think this is very important to understand is because this is the reason why we trade both technicals and fundamentals. As you can see over here, we came into the trade when it was trending. It was trending in an uptrend right over here. This is our entry point. And sometimes, even when the data goes against you, but you're in a trend, the flow, the positive flow of the trend will actually take the price in your direction. And that's the reason why we always like to trade trend, because we want to have both the technicals and the fundamentals on our side as much as possible in order to have a level of success. The next trade we did, which was the dollar CAD, was simply just a wrong trade. We traded this on the idea that retail sales were going to be hot, and they turned out to be quite the opposite. They turned out to be very, very cold, and the trade just simply didn't work. Nothing wrong with that. We trade data and trend. We're going to be wrong on data. When we're wrong on data, we just get stopped out. That was the story here. Here's the caddy. Let me just pull up the caddy trade on a daily basis to see it a little clearer. Yeah, so we basically come in on the CAD trade over here, and right over here at this level, thinking that the Canadian data was going to be hot. We're going to drive dollar CAD even further into the sell territory, but in fact, quite the opposite happens. It turns itself around, and as you can see, dollar CAD has actually been on a complete turnaround since the time we were out there. So that's the story on the CAD trade, just simply wrong on the data. It's going to happen once, it's going to happen many times forward. The next trade was really interesting because this was the final trade of the week, which was the euro dollar trade. Let me just go on to, let me see if I can just pull this up. Let's make sure that I'm on the right 722. Yes, here we go. So this, I think, is just fascinating because here's the. Let me just give you a setup on the dailies for the euro dollar trade. Remember, we always want to trade trend, and we always want to trade with fundamental drivers. So here we are on the euro dollar trade, coming in right at this point over here, and we really thought this was going to be a huge hit because we were dead certain that the iPhone number was going to be bad. And of course, the structure technically on the euro dollar was very, very negative. So we come in here at the beginning of the night at I think 56.87 or something like that on a short. Hang out. It takes a while for us to actually make T1. The iPhone number comes out and it is horrible. I mean, it is, really, we were expecting like basically 100 and it came in at 97. So the thing drops. But here's where it gets very, very interesting. And this is where fancy footwork and all of our money management really comes into play. Given how bad the number was, I was very, very surprised at the small amount of drop that the euro dollar dropped. I really thought that given the badness of the number and the fact that we were in a negative trend already, the euro dollar was going to drop maybe 80, 90 points on the first 10, 15 minutes of trade. But in fact, it just drops right into the 50s and holds, as you can see. And then it drops a little bit further. And at this point, this is where I become extremely defensive. Instead of simply letting the whole thing breathe and float, I notice that the price action is just not supporting our thesis. So I moved the stop right away to make sure that we banged in 50 points instead of just simply 30 points. And it was very, very smart I did, because within 10 minutes of us moving the stop, the price action reverses and boom, boom, boom. Basically, we would have only made 30 points had I not been very defensive and trailed the stop to the downside. And it's just a very, very good example of how you can have the fundamentals on your side, the technical structure on your side, but ultimately price action rules. That's why it's very important not just to simply set up the trades, but to watch the trades actively, because the markets themselves will tell you exactly how big a reaction they're going to have. We had all the variables lined up for a huge move. We wound up with basically a half a move, and we could have wound up with a lot less if we weren't very aggressive and very, very flexible in the moment of the trade. That's the lesson of the week. I wish you guys the best of luck. Next week, more trades from BKT. Come join us. I'm going to try and do more live trading next month, not just one, but perhaps 2 sessions with more interesting setups. So please come join us at BKTraderFx.com, and I'm wishing you the best of luck. Boris Schlossberg.